On today's show clip, we discuss if we've ever been on a Walt Disney World attraction during a breakdown.
So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections podcast.
So I like this one because I think it's going to be interesting. Have you ever had a ride break down at Disney while you've been on it?
If you've been to Disney more than a couple times, then you've probably experienced this. I have definitely had this happen. I had it happen on Spaceship Earth before. I was up at the very top with the with the Earth being projected on the screen or on the roof and everything, and it's happened to me on Universe of Energy before. I've probably had that happen to me probably half a dozen times, but I've never been evacuated off a ride. So we sat there for 5-6 minutes or whatever, however long it was, and eventually they got it going again and went on with the ride. But of all the times that I've had it happen in a slew of different attractions. It's happened to me on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. So lots of times I've had a ride stop, and sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 4 or 5 minutes, but I've never actually been evacuated off of one. But yes, absolutely. Just off the top of my head, I can remember Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I can remember Spaceship Earth, and I can remember Universe of Energy having done that. The Universe of Energy one was funny because it must have been an audio problem, because we were in the dinosaur area, where you drove through, and all the dinosaurs were still moving and everything, but it was silent. So their mouths are like opening for a big roar or whatever, and it was just like. And that was it, like no sound, and all the dinosaurs are still moving and stuff. But so that was funny, comical, and they eventually got it going again, and the dinosaurs started hollering and everything. So that was funny. Spaceship Earth was no big deal because it's pretty quiet up there anyway, and the music was still playing, I think. But the only thing there is the big Earth on the ceiling, so that was kind of boring. And on Buzz, the ride was still working, or the game was still working. So
nice.
We just found a target. It was like pew, 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 pew. It was just the ride system was not moving. So we were still accumulating points. We just weren't moving. So we were still able to entertain ourselves. But that's just a couple of them off the top of my head that I can think of.
Would the chairs still rotate?
No, the chair, the car was completely dead. So you couldn't move your car, but luckily we were still facing the targets.
What about you, Tony?
I personally, I don't want this to ever happen to me on a ride. I'm not really the kind of person who likes to know that after standing in line for hours that your ride's going to break down. But exactly almost 4 years ago, this month, the very first time I went on Rise of the Resistance, this is back in the day when you had to have a reservation made at 7 a.m. And we got our reservations. We made our way online. We couldn't wait to get in there. This is, February of 2020. And we got as far as the room in which Kylo Ren and General Hux are talking to each other, and you're in this dark room. You're about to go into the room where you get to go on the ride vehicle. It's the last room before that. And just as they were talking, the lights all went out. And we were like, oh no. And surely we waited there for a couple seconds. Then some lights came back on, and they ushered us back into the hallway, had us wait there for a bit. And the Imperial people were still walking back and forth, making comments at us and stuff. And then finally they said, we're going to have to shuttle you off of this. And they took us through some back entrance somewhere and let us back out through MGM Studios or Hollywood Studios, I should say. And the good thing about when that happens, or at least back then, because of the reservation system, they gave us vouchers on the way out to come back later in the day.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so thankfully we did get to ride it, but we got as far as that one room, just about to ride it for the first time ever. And it broke down.
That's awful. You didn't even get into the ride vehicle.
No, we got to see the, the beginning, but not to there. It was pretty scary because that was our only trip. We'd gotten there so early that day. We'd got our reservations before 7 a.m. to be able to get there, and then the ride breaks down. So, but we were able to go back a few hours later to the ride. Unfortunately, when we did go back onto the ride, we almost missed our appointment. That was my first trip there. We almost missed our appointment. We had made an appointment to go to Oga's, and at that time, again, everything was very strict about um, what you had to do. You had to, because our ride back was at a certain time. When we came out of there, we were already 15 minutes past our Oga's Cantina reservation. And so we had explained that to the people there, and they were like, okay. They put us on reserve, and we had to wait in line for a bit before we were able to get in.
What about you, Ron?
Yeah, I've had two experiences. One was on Everest, and like you, Dewey, I was not evacuated, thankfully, because I'm not a big fan of heights anyway.
Everest, where were you in Everest?
We were going, if I remember correctly, we were going up the hill and the first initial ascent, and then it started going again. I'm pretty sure it was going up the hill. The second experience was unique because we did get evacuated, and that was on the haunted house. And so they kept us on the ride for quite some time trying to get it to go, but the loop just kept going. The music, and
Yeah,
I was, oh my goodness. And but there were some fun comments. I don't remember them now. I've got them on video and stuff, but we did get evacuated, so it was kind of cool to see the behind the scenes a little bit. But so yeah, that's been my experience.
Have you ever experienced a Walt Disney World attraction breakdown? Let us know in the comments below, or from any of our social media accounts at WDW Reflections Podcast, or the email at wdwreflectionspodcast@gmail.com.